Hello, hello. This is Paper Cuts Included coming to you live from the Ninja Turtle sleeping blanket, and that's how I know it's legit. Today we are going to be looking at Hellboy Conqueror Worm number one. Man, say that 10 times fast. This is probably it's in the top three of the first Hellboy books I ever read, and probably same for Mignola. I probably read this about maybe 6 months before I was like, "Yep, I'm an artist," and it really Mignola is probably the one of the biggest reasons I became an artist, which I'll get into in a little bit. Um, if this is your first ever Paper Cuts Included video, it is a comic book YouTube channel ran by me and my two co-hosts, where we talk about comic books, comic book art, art in general, artists, and we look at books under a technical aspect. What I mean by that is it's an 80-20 split. 80% is us talking about like, oh, Mignola's great at spotting blacks, or Mignola's, the typography. We talk about books under that kind of umbrella, and 20% is us talking about the story. We're never going to be like, oh, can you believe Superman did this, and 5 issues ago he did that? Isn't that crazy? No, we're working artists, and we love to talk about the artwork itself. And that's what interests sometimes more than the artwork. Not here, though. Here, Hellboy is probably one of the greatest of all time characters. Fight me on that. So I guess I'll get into how I came into Hellboy and Mignola. Um, you know, of course, as a kid, I loved the two movies. That were out. They were great. I probably watched them at least once a year because I didn't have them on DVD, so I was lucky to see them around Halloween on the Sci-Fi Channel. Um, and then when I was kind of teetering on the edge of one, because I've always loved comic books, I've always loved comics, superheroes, stuff like that, and I wanted to do it, but I could never. I thought art was you have to be Alex Ross caliber, or don't do it. If you're not that good, don't do it. And then I bought this book at an antique store junior year of high school, and I read it so much that it's been undone. And it looking at Mignola's art like clicked in my head. It really showed me that I didn't have to be Alex Ross. I didn't have to do this or that, because that's what they also taught us in school. Was not that you have to be Alex Ross, but like, yeah, if you're good at art, you make photorealistic pieces, or at least before that. I also had a great high school art teacher who loved comic books too, and he, changed my view on comics too. Um, but no, like it got to a point. Like I started off my art career because once I saw Hellboy and the artwork, I was like, I can do that. Like, and Mignola's super popular and famous. I could do that. And so I would spend hours and days and hours redrawing panels from this book. Like my goal back then was to redraw an entire Hellboy comic or an issue, and I never did. Because luckily I went into doing original pieces, but a lot of my early works, like on my Instagram, is copies of panels or just Mignola art in general. I have a giant, like 18 by 20 reproduction of Usagi Yojimbo by Mignola, his version of Usagi, and I had that framed in my room because I was so proud of it. And if it wasn't for Mignola, I probably wouldn't be doing this channel right here and now. I wouldn't be talking about art. I wouldn't be an artist, you know. And so Mignola will always be very near and dear to my heart, and his characters and creations. Of course, my favorite being Hellboy. And yeah, so let's see what's a page I looked at or I copied. I just want to find one real quick. Oh, I have a giant version of this. I copied that. Um, a lot of Wolves of St. Augustine, actually. I might have maybe copied this that wolf right there. I for sure copy, reproduced that, but did it in color, and it actually got in a little art show. But no, like I said, I just grew to love Hellboy, love the artwork, and just wanted to be Mignola. I wanted to be the next Mignola. I wanted to draw just like him. My saying was like, Mignola better watch out because I'm gonna put him on the streets, and that really pushed me to get better and pushed me to just keep doing art. If it looks crappy now, it's gonna get better eventually. And I've grown a lot from then to now. You know, I'm always gonna say I need to get better, but I can at least admit I've gotten a lot better from junior year of high school to now. And also I've had, my two co-hosts always pushed me to do better and make more art. I always looked at their art and was like, I want to do what they do. Their art's so good. So Mignola and my two co-hosts and another friend that we won't say his name, but yeah, we it was a fun time. Man, look at me reminiscing when I should just be looking at the books. Um, or now I'm just, yeah. I did another big version of this panel too, but without the bubbles. And I think I started a version of that. Yeah, but I'd say at least one panel from each issue in this trade I reproduced in high school, in junior year of high school. Senior year, like, they were like, nope, you need to do original stuff. Not in a bad way, but they wanted to, kind of make sure I could do it instead of copying Hellboy. And, great way. And that's something I've always kind of, told people is find that artist you like. Find it. Kind of latch to it, study them. Study, like I said, if it takes 1,000 hours to get better of drawing, it takes 1,000 hours of drawing to get better, and then it takes 1,000 hours of studying. So I probably spent 5,000 hours just studying Mignola and figuring out what he does, and I still love him to death. After so much of just looking at the way he does shadows, it'll never cease to amaze me. And to this day, whenever I see a Mignola cover, gotta buy it. Gotta pick it up. It's like talking about an old friend when I talk about Mignola. So if the tone's a little weird in this video or different, bear with me. But let's get into the actual issue we're looking at, which is Conqueror. We're just gonna call it Worm number one, which I bought this at an antique store, different one, and I was lucky to get all four issues. But let's just break right into it because I could talk about how much I love Mignola forever. That could be this whole video probably. But this is an under microscope video where we look at the book and talk about it under a technical aspect. So the first thing we always do or try to do, there's probably a few episodes where I skipped it, is the cover successful? And what I mean by that is, when I mean successful, would a newbie to a comic book store see this on the stand and buy it? Because not to be that guy, but you got to make books that sell. That pays for your lights. It keeps you drawing. It puts a hamburger in your belly. Like, you got to sell your books. And the cover is one of the best and first ways to get a sale, because that's the first thing they're going to see if they're just walking in the store and don't know what they want. And I think this is a 10 out of 10 cover. And some people might be like, oh no, it's not that good, you're just saying that because you like Mignola. I'll explain why. It has an amazing font. It has a great, like, the Hellboy symbol, or not symbol, but logo is probably one of the best ones. Just color wise, it stands out. And then, you get a very interesting cover of, what the heck is that? What the heck is that? What, that's cool. What's that? What's going on? Like, it, to me, this is, if I didn't know what Hellboy was, I would be drawn into it and really invested. Like, I've never seen art that way. If I hadn't seen Mignola, and it looks awesome and cool, and it's a 1 of 4. Well, I can get into a series like that, and so I think it's a great cover. I think it's a very successful cover, and that's why I say a 10 out of 10. Or maybe at the very least a 9 out of 10. But I don't know what you could do to make it better. So a 10 out of 10. And people can fight me on that. But let's break her open and look at it. So it starts off with some, Mignola does some pretty good composition work. See, I wouldn't say thinks out of the box with his comps, but you know, it's good. He might not think out of the box, but it's still good. And sometimes, like in Ronin number 3, which we're gonna look at this Friday, like if you get too wild with your composition, sometimes you lose your reader. Like there was like a 5 page process in Ronin 3 that I just got lost as a reader. But Mignola doesn't have that. Mignola is a very great artist, storyteller. Like study him if you want to make comics, because you'll learn an immense amount. Even his font is so, I guess not his font, but Pat Brosseau, we're gonna call him Brosseau. Like when I close my eyes and think about art, I see this font. Like that's how much I've read this, this book. Because for the longest time, all I had was this 4 issue series and that trade. But no, like just looking at the mountains, like it's so good. And I feel like a lot of people would over detail their mountains, but he doesn't, or over detail the sky, but he doesn't, and it works really good. And we'll begin some just amazing, just like this is a past segment, and it sells that past segment. It's got not even really earthy tones, just tones, grays and stuff. But yet, you know, it works. The castles are great. Like I so curb his this way of drawing buildings where I won't do all the bricks, just some. And I would never think of to do that until I read this book. Like, in my tips and tricks video from way long ago where we looked at references, don't be afraid to, use something you looked at in a book. You learn it and give props when people ask. You know, so one of the things I took, other than all of it, was how to do bricks better. Because I don't know. I feel like if you do all the bricks, it's gonna look too busy and you're gonna lose it, especially with all the dark tones. So, just sometimes don't show everything. You know, or if don't know if this would work without all the bricks, draw it twice. Light table it. Draw a panel or anything you're doing 3 different ways. Use a light table. It's your best friend, and see what works, see what doesn't. Man, and using that harsh, those pinks, oranges for Lobster Johnson's eyes, it's so good. If this is like your introduction to Hellboy, it's a great first step because you're wondering what's going on. Like they're fighting Nazis. They're This dude's doing something to his head, and yeah, like what's going on? And it's great, great action, great fluid. It reads really fluid, which I don't think I've talked about a lot on this channel, but like it's so easy to muck up a book. But Mignola, I feel like one of his strengths is he makes books fluid. He makes them go, 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 in a good way without rushing them. Like it's Hellboy. Don't overthink it. It's about I guess a demon in the BPRD, the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, fighting your monster of the month. You know, so you don't have to have some 20 issue build up arc like you would maybe a Superman book or in the newest IDW Turtles, which I might be crucified for saying that. But no, like don't don't overthink your book. Try to make them fluid. That's what is going to be another thing that keeps your reader coming. Is the book fluid? Is it working right? Does it interest them? Is there roadblocks? Like I'm going to bring up Ronin 3 because I've read it right before this review. Ronin 3 has some like bad moments where it distracts you and it takes the flow away, and then it's harder to read. Issue 3 is probably the weakest one I read, but Mignola keeps it going and fluid. You know, like now there's some German scientists going on, and like we get our conflict. I think I drew that guy, and I'm gonna have to keep saying that is what things I probably drew. I think I maybe started that and drew this guy, or drew his hand to study how Mignola did hands. I wonder if I'm gonna go back into a Mignola era after looking at this, because now I'm kind of in a Sin City era. We'll see. Like I said, keeping it flowing. Like we see the scientist, where something's going on, like a rocket scientist. Oh wait, the Americans already back. What's gonna happen? Are they gonna explain what's going on? And using the fire of the rocket, like those panels really stand out in a good way. Like they don't add a whole lot, but they look really good. You know, and Mignola showing his strengths with a big old astronaut suit and those harsh eyes again in that light. Like I don't, Mignola's art's just stunning, and I can't wait to see an exhibit of it one day somewhere. You know what I mean? But no, here we're going, and probably one of my favorite pages from this first issue is the short but really nice conflict. Is you know our Lobster Johnson. I think that's his first thing he says in this entire book. Yeah, is here's the claw. So what's going on? What was that? Some fight ensues. Does the castle get blown up? Well, I guess so, cause it not there anymore. Or I guess it's that one. It might be that one. But now we're back in present day. So what happened? What happened to our mysterious claw guy? Is he dead? Well, these guys got killed, so is he dead? The castle's still sort of there. And so we cut to modern day, and you know, we're learning of Hellboy's freak of the week, kinda. He's got to go investigate this castle and figure out what's going on. Because Hitler's top scientist was on it, and they don't like that. Something's been going on. You know, and before that, they talk about how Lobster Johnson and kind of the origins of it. And Hellboy turns out to be a sort of fan of them. Some nice images is of young Hellboy in a Lobster Johnson costume, but I think this was just Mignola's wanting to draw that pulp comic hero, that Dick Tracy, which I drew that too. Yeah, and they're saying that he was a fictional character, that, this is actually just a movie. But Hellboy's just like, nah, back in the 30s, some mafia members ended up, washed ashore with a claw symbol on their heads, and then some other weird stuff happened, which that's a good way to make some spin off books right there. Because there is a Lobster Johnson trade out there and a series, but I don't think Mignola draws it. I think he just does the story, which is disappointing, as all get out, that he didn't. I don't think he did it. I have a couple issues of it. I think I need to check that now. I know he does the covers. Like I buy any Mignola cover I can find. But no, like what's going on? Like why are they having to investigate? We just saw, you know, this giant firefight happen and something blow up. So what's going on? And before like just the different uses of colors, like Hellboy always standing out so good against those solid blacks, or the subtleness of just backup characters like crap, what's his name, Roger. I don't know why I almost want to call him Richard, but Roger. And having the greens and the blues and the reds and that beige, the way he comes up with, or maybe he doesn't, he has a colorist, but Mignola's color is so good. Right? He didn't color it, right? No, Dave Stewart, who does a lot of his stuff. I think he also does the newest Jeff Darrow stuff. What else did Stewart do that we looked at the other day? I'm gonna have to check back what videos I did last week. But no, just Dave Stewart's colors are really good, which I feel bad about because I think I really crapped on like his artwork, or not his artwork, just his newest coloring stuff on Cruel to Be Kin. Um, yeah, no, you can tell I drew from this book because there's eraser shavings from probably me having my sketchbook right here as I'm drawing that, you know. And yeah, no, a returning satellite's coming back that, you know, got some problematic imagery on it, so something survived. But who? And that's what we gotta go find out as they get a local guy to take them up. But before that, we gotta get some housekeeping out of the way. Is Rogers apparently, you know, they're worried about him. His introduction was not a innocent one, unfortunately. He is a golem of sorts, and when he was turned on, he killed a member and then almost killed Liz, Hellboy's conflict girlfriend, you know, the love interest. But let's just look at some art more rather than story. Like, it took me so long trying to figure out how to do, you know, like a panel like that, you know, not a lot of detail in the face, and then we get to stuff like this with a lot of detail in the face. It'll never, you know, shake me how good of an artist Mignola is in doing that, because I feel like a lot of artists are going to keep this level always, but Mignola keeps his art so iconic by doing it that way. And you know, the solid shapes, the blocky shapes, it's so Mignola. Like, something I'll talk about probably in every video now is the silhouette test, where you black out a figure, and if people can know what that, you know, figure is by just the silhouette, that means you have a really successful character. And Hellboy is probably one of the best silhouette tests. You know, like, you know, let's get Roger out of the way. If you just blacked out this figure, uh, probably everyone in the comic scene is going to know that's Hellboy. You know, the round, the cut off horns, the tail, the big right hand of doom. You know, it's so iconic, and that's, you know, something that you should try to do in your artwork. Come up, you know, find ways to make your character unique. Make, you know, it stand out against, you know, what separates your, you know, pebble or your grain of sand in a desert. You know, figure out something, do something, you know, put a top hat on them, work for the Mad Hatter, you know. So just think of stuff like that. You know, like, I wonder how big Mignola worked for panels, because, you know, Jeff Darrow, every panel was a giant sheet of paper. So like, I want to see, like, was that a little thumbnail that he turned into, you know, that, or is that a whole piece of 18 by 20 paper? I would love to see that. We need more Hellboy art editions. Someone needs to get on that. You know, like, because his art's so good, and I want all of it. But, you know, we're getting more that, just the great emotion of Hellboy, you know, like the subtleness of it. Like, he, from kind of annoyed to angry, which I probably drew that too. You know, and it's so good that he doesn't have to show a lot of emotion for it to work, you know, but it does. And it's great. And just the little pieces of ink really go a long way. I think if you didn't have any of those little tick marks, Hellboy would not be as successful as a character, because it'd just be one big red glob. But adding those makes him look a lot more rugged. It gives him detail. It gives him character. So think about doing stuff like that. Just adding little bits of detail here and there can go a long way in having your character be successful. And then, you know, Mignola probably shown his Kirby love, doing all these little Kirby dots, you know, and it works. It looks really good. Like, you're gonna flip to this page and automatically be drawn to that because it looks so good. the use of color, it just works. Like I said, think out of the box with your artwork. Do different stuff, you know? But no, Hellboy gets a detonation device to set off Roger if he goes haywire. So then they're off on their quest, their call for venture. But before that, this little card comes into play, and it's fiction question mark with the lobster's claw. So something's going on. If Nazis coming back from space, does that mean the other character survived? The Lobster Johnson, who we were just finally got who that is. Great silhouette of Hellboy right there. Like I said, he should pass every silhouette test if people just Mignola's probably in the top 10 biggest artists of all time that people know. What, he's got 3 movies at this point, has about to get a 4th. Hellboy's probably in the top 50 most successful comic book creations. Like if we're talking broadwise, not just the comic, but movies, video games, toys, the cartoon show. But no, here we're going back and maybe get some metaphor with a falcon capturing a rabbit and trying to eat him. With spoiler alert, a double agent having the falcon go away from her. You know, like some directional line movement. The falcon lines up with her and then lines up with Roger, who probably Roger Hellboy. So metaphorically, like it tells you who the villain probably is, but without like you're not gonna guess that's what it is. But I think it really works. And it even works right here. Is it makes that pyramid, falcon there, falcon. It just works. And maybe that's a happy coincidence, but who knows? You know. And one of Mignola's strengths too is doing minimalistic artwork that works really well. Like, showing them climbing, like almost gesture drawings of them, like not a lot of detail, but it works and it's very iconic. The blocky figures, stuff like that. And are we about to see Lobster Johnson again? He's got some sort of trench coat on, sound to turn back. But nope, it's just some random old man who tells them to turn back because horrors happened at the place where, they're heading. And how does he know that? Well, because he was there showing off his uniform. And Hellboy does not like Nazis. If you've read any Hellboy, you know his lore, so I'm not going to get into it. So just straight up clobbers an old man, no questions asked. And so Hellboy and Roger go off so Hellboy can let off some steam. But that's just the artwork, selling that this is an old frivoled man. Like the jacket's dirty, he has long hair, he has a beard, his shirt or his pants are being held up by a rope. It works, like study this artwork, study how Mignola does it, and just Hellboy standing out right there. Like his composition works and his panels are so good. Like just think about it, study it. You'll come a lot from it. And well, I guess this is the first instance that we're learning that she's not what she appears, not some helpful guide, because she straight up kills the old man, but thanking him for his service. So something's going on, but yet he gets up and somehow has the lobster symbol right on him. But now our 3 have finally met the castle, and just a great piece of art, like drawing a castle minimalistic, but it works. The silhouette's a castle. Like Mignola is a master at the silhouette test, and I think every artist should strive to as well. I probably drew that skull so much. Like I love how Mignola draws skulls, and I probably will never draw a skull right, but try to always draw the Mignola way. But no, so Hellboy's finally having some doubts about her, after, just saying that she's read his file, but she can't, it's, I forget what's the reason she can't have read his file. But she heads into the castle, and as soon as she gets there, Hellboy and Roger just get lit up by some bullets, and like Hellboy is a great new age pulp comic. Like I feel like this would be a Sunday comic, Prince Valiant, if you will. Whereas, or this 2 page spread, perfect one pager, if they probably shortened it, you know, and it works. Short stories add up to big stories. They didn't overdo the long. If this was a Marvel book, it would take probably 5 issues to get from that base camp to here. And each little incident would be a whole issue. Them finding the old man would be a whole issue. Him just saying to Roger he doesn't trust her, you know, probably would be a whole issue. So think about stuff like that. Like I said, Mignola makes his books straight to the point, fluid, but they're good. They're great. And that's how pulp comics are at its heart, baby. Is they're short but good ones. But no, Roger, Bleeding Heart, Roger is save the girl, and he lets go of Hellboy's big clobber as we're just getting some great Hellboy headshots. You know, I know for a fact I drew this. Um, Man, take a shot every time I've said that this episode. But just great silhouettes, great uses of I guess this book's been a really big like limited color palette, but it works. You know, and sometimes that's what you need. Like I'm sure some people like to me this is a very like that's why I call it a new age pulp comic. It's because new age pulp comics would have a limited color palette. And try for stuff like that. Do themes of limited color palettes. Limit yourself to 10 colors. See what you can come up with. And so I know I drew that too. And that. And that. I drew a lot from this issue. But Hellboy gets there, and this is my favorite panel. Goddamn gun that fires all by itself. That's crap. Just the humor in it. Mignola's real funny with his Hellboy books. Just little snippets here and there, and it works. And it's a short action scene. Like it's what 3 pages, and the antagonist is already gone. A self shooting gun. I think that's really cool. Don't overdo your books. Get to the point. And make them sweet, and your reader's going to keep coming back. If you do it too long, your reader's going to get bored, even if it's the most action-packed comic of all time. Like Spawn, your reader's going to get bored. I got bored with Spawn after issue like 100 because I was finally like, what's he doing this time? Oh, this is still kind of boring. Oh, what? Now he's got a bunch of spawns in him. So don't overdo it, but don't make them too short. Don't make, don't, if don't make this amount of space the whole gimmick. If that's you can, but it might not work. Well, that's why I say draw it. If it takes 100 pages to get it right, it takes 100 pages to get it right. So here we're going. Hellboy's beaten. He's bloodied. His I love his trench coat is finally tattered. It's the gun blew up, and I think he sells beating up Hellboy really well with just the subtle blacks and the squinted eyes and that underbite. It really sells in my opinion. And like I said, minimalistic art, not showing this dilapidated castle, just showing little bits, but we know it's a castle. Any of my like classically trained artists who had to take art history, seeing the like Renaissance statues of the Virgin Mary with the sun, and the way the weird homunculoid way they used to depict Jesus, you know, and the pillars and stuff as a spirit that knows his name, Hellboy. Don't. It's a trap. Like what's going on? And a giant gorilla just pummels him, puts him under. As yeah, we finally learned that yeah, she's a baddie, and this Nazi dude and his gorilla warrior are her granddaddy and maybe pet gorilla now. As we see just Hellboy beat up in the same page, and then Roger just at the bottom. and that's a way to make you buy the next book. What happens? How's this gonna conclude? Is Hellboy gonna eat it? Did Roger eat it? What's going on? So, great way to finish it. That's a cool Hellboy statue. I see that all the time at cons, surprisingly. But no, that is Hellboy, Conqueror Worm #1. Um, I think it's an amazing first Hellboy comic. If you've never read Hellboy or if you want to get into it, I think it's great. The artwork's great. This is probably the most hard on my sleeve I've ever gone on under the microscope, because, like I said, Mignola. Without him, I wouldn't be doing art. So, I probably look at this book with some rose-colored glasses, but it's dope. I think it's a great book. A great if you like pulp stuff, read it. If you just like interesting characters, read it, because Mignola's great at characters. There's some YouTube review that I really liked where it talked about how Hellboy is the American Guts from Berserk, and that video is really interesting. And once you watch it, it really does, like, oh yeah, they are very similar. So I need to find that video and probably link it. But no, if you made it to the end, thank you. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps us out. I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm trying to think of what to say before I lose it. No, we've been doing really good. We're gonna hit 40 subscribers really soon. That is our summer goal. We're at 30 right now, and my summer goal was 40, so that's awesome. We're getting that close. So I just like to thank everyone who's watched this video. If this, what's your favorite Mignola story? Comment down below. Comment what you liked about these videos. Comment what you think I can do better. I'm growing at this with you guys. So I guess I'm gonna send you on some marching orders so I can drink some water, and then I'm out of here.